Good morning, guys. This is Pastor Heath coming at you this morning with another message for the week. Wanted to encourage you guys this week, let you know that we're still looking for awards. Haven't had any turned in yet, but you should be getting your books sometime this week. So make sure you're working on those with your parents and sending them in to Miss Kim to let us know of any rewards or awards so we can be awarding you guys. So that said, this week we're going to talk about fear. Not scary fear, but what it means to fear God and what it means to maybe fear things that could happen to us. And the story this week comes out of Numbers 13, is where we're going to be starting at this week. And our story this week is about spies. So I got my spy outfit here. I look like a real spy here. It's like one of those makeup things. Right here, maybe a little soul patch. Here. Sideburns. Sideburns. You don't even know it's me. So the story of Joshua, it starts off in Numbers 13, and what happens is the Israelites are about to go into the promised land. This exciting land that God had promised them and told them, guys, I'm giving you this land. And so what Moses did, and I think this is really smart, he picks 12 spies to go into the land. And of those spies, 2 of them, one's named Joshua and one's named Caleb. And you're going to see what happens. So 10 minus 2. So 10 these other spies and then 2 of these other spies. So Moses, it says in verse 17, it says Moses sent them to spy out the land, to go up into the hill country, kind of creep around, find out what's going on. And he says, tell me, is the land good or is it bad? Right? So the spies go out, and they do this for 40 days. That's a long time. Spying around, sneaking for 40 days. And they spy out the land, and they look, and they see there's people there, right? And they start seeing, but they see these grapes that a single cluster of grapes is carried in a pole. Like huge grapes, like the size of your face. No, probably not that big, but the clusters were certainly big. And there's pomegranates, those little things with the tiny seeds in them that you never can stop eating. There's figs, not sure what if fig Newtons. So they see the land is good, and it's like, yeah, God has given us. But then they start noticing the people. So the spies come back after 40 days, and they find out who the people were that were in the land. And 10 of them, so it says in verse 27, it says, we came to the land which you sent us, and it flows with milk and honey and beautiful fruit. And then they said, however, and this is the 10 spies, the people that dwell there are strong. And you can see fear starts kind of creeping into their hearts, because they're like, but, it's good, but the people there are strong. Their cities are big. And they're fortified. They've got all these towers. And you can't get into them. And the worst thing of all, the area is filled with the descendants of Anak. You're like, what? Who's Anak? Right? But Anak were giants. So here there's no kidding giants in the land. And they're all scared, right? These 10 spies. Here's what I like in verse 30. Caleb, he quiets the people before Moses. He's like, shh, 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 zip, shh, shh, shh. Right? I picture him like yelling, be quiet, listen. He said, let's go up at once and take over the land, for we are able to overcome it. And we're not, and then everyone says, no, we're not able to do that, man. They're stronger than we are. And then they start getting all the people of Israel like freaking out, and everyone in Israel is like, oh, no, we can't do it, no. But remember, what did God promise? God had promised them this land, this good land. And they were saying, you know what, God, you're not big enough to do it. And Joshua and Caleb were the only two that were steadfast and saying, God, we can do this, or we can do this with God. You know, the people are scared. They're saying there's giants. They say, we seem like grasshoppers compared to them. Now, a grasshopper is like this big, and that would make the giants like taller than trees. Now, we know that's not true. And so, because of this, though, the people rebelled, and God closes them off from going into the land for 40 years, right? Because they gave in to fear, because they let fear and these things drive them, they were cut off from some of the things that God did. You can see there's a dog right there. Where'd that come from? Not scared of that dog, okay? But we need to trust in God. And I like what the people did. Moses didn't just say, let's just go to the town and kind of, jump right in and not know. No, Moses was very cautious and looked and understood what he should do and looked at the land to make sure it was good. But then he wasn't scared when things seemed out of his control. We can do the same for us. We can look at God and we can look at some of the problems that we have around us, and we can be afraid. But God says, do not be afraid. Be courageous and stand firm in me. And so I want to encourage you guys this week to do that. Last week, encourage you guys, the challenge was to reenact some Bible stories and send me some pictures. You didn't do that. That's okay. But I want to encourage you to, if you haven't done that challenge, if you haven't done the family challenge, that'd be great. This week, I would love just some pictures, just some drawings of what God is doing for you, maybe, how God is working. And you can post these on the Facebook page. You can send them to me directly. But just some cool pictures of how God is helping you overcome giants in the land and how you are fearing God. And there's that dog again. I don't know whose dog that is. No, I'm just kidding. It's mine. Okay, I'm going to close this in prayer. Father, we thank you that you are a good Father that loves us, protects us, and watches over us, God. That we should only fear you, Father, in reverence to you, that we have nothing to fear. We praise your name. Amen.